Channel 2, English. Channel 2, English. Channel 2, English. Channel 2, English.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the S&T Group press conference today with our Group President, Iratxe García Perez. She will, of course, introduce for the main topics this week, among others, the State of the Union speech, and then, of course, take your questions. Iratxe.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Buenos días a todos y a todas.
Good morning, everybody. I had the possibility of welcoming some of you last week, and I hope that you all had a good holiday, particularly those who I was unable to meet last week. So I hope you had a few weeks of rest. I hope you enjoyed being with your family and you're ready for go. This is a very important week for us. As always, in September, we start this plenary with the State of the Union debate. And of course, at this juncture, I think we are marking a fundamental moment. If you look at the political situation at the moment, it's clear. So this is the State of the Union debate with the Commission, the first one that we are having after so many different issues which have arisen recently, challenges, threats, opportunities, but also difficulties. And thus, I do think that it is very important that we tackle these various issues. Last week, we, the S&D, sent a letter to von der Leyen with our priorities outlined for the next few months, and we hope that we shall be able to be strong and show leadership to tackle global issues in the interests of Europe and the Europeans, to define Europe's strategic autonomy and to defend the fundamental values that we adhere to. For this, we need unity, and Ms. von der Leyen has expressed the fact that unity is urgent, but we as S&D want to add an important issue, another word, which is the word ambition. We're faced with global threats and we have to act together. We have to act quickly. But as Europeans, we need to also be ambitious in our policies. And furthermore, as I said, at the moment, over the summer, we have noted that many of our citizens are feeling that Europe is not responding properly to the challenges which face us. So if you look at the situation in Gaza at the moment, for example, although there is a specific resolution on Gaza, which is being negotiated at the moment, I think that this issue has to be part and parcel of the State of the Union address, because I think that Europe's response to Gaza is crucial, because on this, we are saying that Europe wants peace, wants an end to the barbarity that we have been witness to over the past months with the massacres and the genocide which is occurring in Gaza. Thus, we are going to ask the European Commission for explanations, and we are going to demand that von der Leyen stops her silence, because we cannot be complicit when we have a Israeli government which is assassinating, murdering tens of thousands of people, murdering so many journalists who are trying to make the voice of the Gazan people heard, to tell us what's happening in Gaza. We have the statement of the United Nations, which we've all heard, and this continues to be an absolutely fundamental issue when we are talking about our stance within the context of the State of the Union debate. As for other things, you'll see that various things have been referred to in the letter, the social dimension and the need also to tackle our agenda for the future in an ambitious manner. We need a Europe which is accessible, which responds to the problems which thousands and thousands of young people and families are suffering in the moment. They need access to a dignified life. And I think this is very important. It's so important for our group. The citizens of Europe need to listen to this debate, and they need to feel that their concerns are being aired and tackled. Because we need to look at what is of concern to our citizens at the moment and how we respond. I'm not looking at the State of the Union address like a shopping list. I think that over the next few months, we need to be aware of how the European Commission is to define its work programme to ensure that they incorporate the priorities which we have set. But more than specific issues, we need to see a turnaround of this European Commission. We need a European Commission which maintains its steadfastness in the context of the negotiations which have been conducted. The agreement with the United States, for example. Faced with this situation, European cannot show weakness. We need to demonstrate much more strength than we have been doing so far. Thus, I think, as I have said, we shall be including the issue on the agreement with the United States, and there is going to be a discussion on this issue as well. During this plenary session. You are well aware of what our position is on the negotiations of the agreement with the United States. We have expressed a lot of criticism about the way in which these negotiations have been carried out, and this criticism is something which is going to be made manifest in some very specific work that we have to do during this Parliament to ensure that the necessary issues are tackled. We want to be constructive. We have some own initiative proposals on the table, and we have got to work. We've got a lot of work to do. It's our responsibility, and we're going to tackle this issue in, as I said, a constructive fashion. But we want to be very clear in putting over our political message. We cannot sell the values of Europe in the context of a negotiation, because otherwise we're going to have something which is totally unacceptable in Europe. Europe, over the past few years, has tackled the need to develop policies to ensure that Europe has a strategic approach to defence, to its autonomy, etc. And we have been critical thus in our position, and we want, as I said, to continue to be constructive during the course of the various negotiations. Of course, I'm very happy to answer questions. I think it would be a good idea now. I've got a lot more to say, but I think it would be nice to open the floor and to answer the questions that you may have. Thank you, Iratxe. Over to you.
Okay, please introduce yourself.
Buenos días.
Yes, good afternoon. I'm for Les Echos, French newspaper.
Last month, your discomfort and your disagreement with the EPP's strategy and the EPP's alliance on several occasions with the extreme right groups. Does the VDL, the von der Leyen majority, still exist? Do you still want to work with the centrists and the EPP in the future?
Durante el debate de la...
During the debate on the motion of censure in July, I think that I was very clear in expressing what our strategic position in our group is. We're talking about the future of the European Union, and we're talking about the future of European relationships. We don't think that the pro-European majority in this chamber is dead. We continue to insist on the need for the European forces to work together, and we shall continue to do so during this week when we have the State of the Union debate. But I think that it is also important to say that patience wears out eventually. Cooperation, coordination means to sit down together to negotiate and to say that these negotiations are negotiations on which we have to raise fundamental issues. And this is the spirit in which we should be working. We are not going to accept what was something we insisted upon in July, and that is that the Commission and EPP may be putting forward certain proposals, and some of them we cannot accept. This is not negotiation. This is the right in this Parliament trying to impose itself. Also the institutions, and I think that majorities, alliances are much more complex at this juncture, and each and every one of us needs to shoulder our responsibility, and our group is responsible, but you can't ask us to be responsible while at the same time saying that responsibility means that you take on board the proposals of the EPP. No, we're the second group in this chamber, and without us, it is impossible to get a European majority. Therefore, it is absolutely fundamental that our ideas and our requirements are listened to. We're critical. We know what we want to do, and that is what we should be doing. We need to be critical, constructive, and we have to ensure that the issues which are fundamental for us are incorporated. We have possibly a different idea of what the European platform is, but we're clear on what we say, and we are not going to accept a constant approach to our views, which is challenging, which puts everything in doubt. This is something which this Parliament has to understand. They need to understand what negotiation means, what cooperation means, what agreement means. And when you agree on something, you carry it out. We are not going to be complicit in an agenda which is totally designed and influenced by the EPP. Of course, a part of it has to be. We understand that. That goes without saying. It's obvious. But we all have experience in coalition governments. And we all know that in coalition governments, you have to work very hard. Nobody is 100% satisfied with the result of negotiations, but that is what negotiation means.
And then afterwards, Vincenzo.
Thank you, Nicoletta Ianta for Euractiv. Your S&D colleague was allegedly blocked, Teresa Rivera in the Commission, was allegedly blocked from holding a press conference on Google last week. Do you think this was the case and then it came from inside the Commission, from the Commission President? And if you raise this issue with the Commission President in your meeting? Thank you.
Over the past months, when the negotiations started with the administration, well, during the negotiations with the Trump administration, we said that there have to be red lines, and there are fundamental issues. There's one thing which is not negotiable, and that is the European legislation which established social standards, environmental standards, and consumer protection in Europe. What we understand, what we can't do, is accept that the Trump administration designs a digital policy and consumer protection policy in Europe. And thus, it's obvious that we consider negotiations on tariffs are one thing, and another thing is negotiations on our consumer protection. And thus, the fine which was imposed on Google is within the context of our European legislation, and this is non-negotiable. And this fine, which was imposed by the Commission, is welcome.
Buenos días, Vincenzo Genovese de Euronews. Sí, el discurso de...
If tomorrow's discussion is not satisfactory to the Social Democrats, are you going to implement a motion of censure as suggested by the left. I think it is very important to bide our time and be responsible in the work that we are doing. We are designing our priorities, and of course, during the bilateral meeting I had with von der Leyen, I told her what the priorities of our group are, and she has to listen to us. Now we are moving forward step by step, and each and every one of us is establishing our group strategies. As I said, tomorrow we are going to be both critical and constructive because we know that there are policies which our citizens need, and we have to ensure that those are policies which are implemented. Certainly, we may find that we have to ensure that in terms of housing and social issues, the Commission puts forward its policies because we continue to defend human rights and we are against the massacre which is being carried out in Gaza, and we shall continue to pursue our objectives. I hope that when I hear von der Leyen speak tomorrow, that I am hearing the right things, because the State of the Union address is important because it defines the style and the way in which the next few months are going to unfold. And what we want from this debate is to have an influence on the beginning of the work programme, which includes the priorities which we have defined. So we're hoping that we're going to get the right responses.
For Politico, I have two questions. First of all, on the Gaza resolution that is being negotiated today, it seems the EPP doesn't want to include the term genocide. Is that a red line for S&D, or are you ready to find a compromise on that? Second, also from EPP, S&D is more and more being accused of sort of playing this opposition game, right? Of like coming out with very strong statements after, for example, the US deal and so on. Do you think is this like the new strategy of S&D to play sort of this opposition role instead of just being part of the platform? Thank you.
What surprises me is the position of the European People's Party, that they're astonished at our stance vis-à-vis the deal with the US, because they didn't come up with any doubts. They didn't express any doubts on a deal which involves very important sectors in Europe, such as the agricultural sector, and the EPP didn't say a word. That's what surprises me. That's what astonishes me. It's not surprising that we have been critical of a deal which causes a lot of concern for us, and that's our work. That's what we have to do. That's what we should be doing as a parliament. As legislators, we should put forward proposals. Let's see what happens when we table our amendments, for example, to defend the European agricultural sector in relation to the zero tariff to all the products which are going to come in from the United States. Let's see what the EPP says, for example. Now, everybody defines their own strategy, and I feel that ours is a very consistent strategy. We are definite in our position, we've defined our priorities, and we are critical, because we always want to ensure that we stick to our guns and our principles. As far as genocide and the resolution goes, I think it is important that the Parliament does come up with a resolution. It's very difficult to explain to our citizens with everything that we've seen and experienced over the past few months. It's very difficult to explain silence of the Parliament. Well, it haven't been silent. There have been discussions, there have been letters sent, etc. But we haven't yet been able to come up with a resolution, and I'm very, very worried about that. Today, even today, we're seeing how Netanyahu is insisting that all citizens leave Gaza City. I heard a family yesterday saying, where are we going to go? The south is collapsing. It's a very, very small piece of land, Gaza. And we're seeing more than 1 million people having to move in 24 hours. Where are they going to go? It's a massacre. We're witnessing a massacre. It's a genocide, If there are questions about how we're going to express this, we have to negotiate. I am not prepared to accept a resolution which is saying the same thing that we've heard from leaders of the EPP again and again over the past few months. No, it's nothing. Thus, everything can be negotiated, but they have to actually be steadfast in denouncing what the Israeli government is doing at the moment, what Mr. Netanyahu is doing. And it's going to be very difficult to accept a resolution which is empty of content. Civilians, children, old people are being killed, massacred. Schools, hospitals are being bombed. We're seeing journalists who are being massacred, journalists who are trying to be the voice of their people. If we can't refer to all these issues, if we can't ask the European Union to act properly, to act definitely with sanctions and to break off the agreement with the European Union, where are we going? Why are we having a resolution? I am hoping that we're going to be able to move forward, and I'm going to ask us to work with that in mind, in this spirit.
And then here in the front, and then we have to close one question only because then the next one has to come. Thank you.
Gracias. Jennifer Rankin, The Guardian. A follow-up on your last point. There's an alternative argument on Gaza, that the member states are split. It's impossible to agree anything, even something very modest like the Horizon proposal. So what we hear is that why just showcase the EU's divisions on Gaza, which doesn't change a single thing on the ground. So could you respond to that point, please?
Of course, there's division in the Council. I'm aware of that. We're not trying to conceal it. But what we need is leadership from the European proposal, and they are the ones that present proposals. It's not possible that in July, Mr. Kallis, in a meeting of foreign affairs ministers, said that there should be an agreement with the Israeli government which allows the access of humanitarian aid, and they took the decision to not do anything. So where's the agreement? Where's the agreement? We asked for something, and we don't know what's happened to that agreement. That was the excuse, that agreement, to take no action against the government of Israel. So why don't we know what's going on? I'm aware of the division. I'm aware of the fact that there are governments who are going to have a position which is against any type of sanction. But the European Commission is saying that it's showing leadership. And what are we doing this? How can we manage what's going on in Council? I can't manage what's going on in Council, but just as we have showed leadership with von der Leyen in the context of Ukraine, and we put this at the forefront, the defense of Ukraine. And I think that exactly the same should occur.
In the front, Virginie.
Bonjour, Virginie Malingre.
Virginie Malingre from Le Monde. You expect commitments from Ms. von der Leyen regarding the working programme. Every year there's been commitments. And Ms. von der Leyen's had 1 year with her working programme, and reality shows that she's not living up to these commitments. So why do you believe that this time Ms. von der Leyen's commitments in the working programme on Democracy Shield, housing, etc., are actually credible? And then on the US-EU agreement, you've criticised this. But what does that mean? Will your group vote against the text as it stands? Apologies, we have to finish. I did say one question you already asked to because we have to hear from the other groups. Thank you.
Voy a intentar ser.
Okay, very briefly. Firstly, on voting. Once again, I'm going to stress the fact that we need to continue being critical and to do our job. Of course, what I want is that these legislative proposals should incorporate all the issues which we have raised as a group. But we've got to move forward step by step. There's others who may have decided their position because they've given up negotiating. I've got to negotiate. I'm not going to give anything up. I've got to negotiate. When the negotiations are finished, when we've got the text, well, then we'll see what position we're going to take. As far as the proposals go, I should like to say that I hope to have some confidence in van der Leyen, in the Commission, and I do hope that over the next months we're going to be able to follow up all these proposals and we shall be able to confirm that over the next few months all the issues which we have raised shall be incorporated into the Commission's work programme, because there are going to be other things. It's not just a question of putting forward questions or coming up with legislative issues. It's important that we put forward our issues, and then we may see that some things are going totally contrary to the way in which we want them to. So we need time, we need to be critical, constructive, and follow things through. So I think critical and constructive are two very important words here. And when we see that our proposals are moving forward properly, then, of course, we shall go forward and look at these further with our group. Thank you very much.
You're all sorry we couldn't take your questions. Please get back to us bilaterally. Have a good week.